Thanks for listening. This is Brian Hurley from Business Performance Improvement. The podcast Lean Six Sigma Bursts are short lessons, comments, Q&A, and insights. If you have a question, send your question through the Anchor app, and we might feature you on a future episode. Or contact me at biz-pi.com. Okay, hopefully you've been enjoying these different course modules I've been uploading. This is the last one, the final 7th module. I'm going to run through an example of how I improved my process for making mouthwash, just to give you an idea of the type of thing we're looking for if you are interested in going through and submitting a project for a Lean at Home certification. If you missed any of the modules, go back to episode 50, where I introduced the course, and then episodes 51 through 56 were the different modules. So hope you enjoy. Again, if you go to the links in the show notes, you can go to the actual course and see all the videos and the graphics and slides that go along with my audio that I've been sharing here. But thought for those that were listening that you could get a lot from just the audio itself without having to see the video. But definitely encourage you, if you like this, to go in and actually see the slides. Okay, hope you enjoy. Let me know if you have any questions.
Let's walk through a project review of the making mouthwash process. This will give you an idea of what we're looking for when you submit your certification project. On the Home Improvement Charter, we've got the process area defined as making the mouthwash. We've identified the metric as process time, with the current being 5 minutes 46 seconds. The reason we picked this process is to make it faster and less difficult, and to be able to quickly replenish supply, and the potential savings was $8 each time or $50 per year. Start date was 12/25/18 with the goal of completing it by June of 2019. Here are some before photos. The original instructions were just written on a piece of paper, and the original supplies were on the picture at the right. A process map was developed to explain the current process, looking for items, measuring the water, getting the funnel, adding the baking soda, the peppermint oil, the tea tree oil, shaking up the container, and then cleaning up. A spaghetti diagram was also created. As explained before, you can see there's a lot of travel distance back and forth, which was taking up some of the time to complete the process. Observing the waste, we went through and identified multiple things. In transportation, there was movement back and forth from the kitchen to go get the baking soda. In inventory, the bottle size lasts about 4 to 6 weeks, which could be excessive. We could go with smaller amounts to take up less space. It might require us to make the process more often, but that might be a trade-off that we're willing to make. For motion, there were numerous scooping activities going on, and it took time to gather all the items together. For waiting, the drops come out slowly out of the container. There might be ways to speed that up. For overprocessing, there was extra work to level out the scoops and adding in some extra drops that might be unnecessary. Sometimes the scoops of the baking soda didn't quite get into the bottle, which would fall down on the counter, and sometimes would lose count of the drops. Now that we have a good idea of the current state of the process, we're already starting to identify some improvement ideas. After completing a 5S, we realized that there was ways to change the process where the measuring cup is not needed. It was bulky and heavy, and so we found a way to reduce that. So we took out one item out of the process. We also properly labeled some of the items, as it might be difficult to tell flour from baking soda. On this slide, we would like to see at least 3 improvements. We've listed 4 below. One was adding a water level mark to the funnel, so we didn't have to use the measuring cup. We also moved the items into the bathroom to reduce the distance traveled. We rearranged the steps of the process to streamline the process and to cut out extra waste and motion. And the removal of the measuring cup cut out one less thing we had to go retrieve and clean up and put away. Here's an example of the air proofing. All we had to do, instead of trying to measure out exactly, is to fill the funnel to the line. The line is a clear indicator of where to measure, and it cut out the measuring cup, and it was quicker and faster. For documentation, we put together an SOP that describes the 6 steps that were required to complete the process. This was laminated and posted in the bathroom for the next person to be able to create the process. Embedded inside the documentation was a checklist of the items required, the error-proofing example, and even a video version of the SOP if someone wanted to watch instead of just following the pictures. The after photo for the spaghetti diagram is much smaller. You can see only a few lines back and forth from one cabinet back to the workspace, cutting down the distance tremendously. This resulted in a 52% reduction in the time it takes to make mouthwash, from 5 minutes and 46 seconds down to 2 minutes and 45 seconds. The project wasn't completed until January of 2020 versus the expected date of June of 2019. This is not required, but we did include a chart to show the different data points when we collected. Since this mouthwash wasn't done on a regular basis every month or two, it took a while to take enough data points to see the improvements after each change. As you can see, around late October is where we really started to see improvements to the process. And this is an example of what we're looking for your improvement. Hopefully this doesn't seem too difficult or challenging. It just takes a little bit of time to document what you did and capture the before and after data. Hopefully you have everything you need to be able to make improvements to your home process. Now it's your turn to take a process you've identified, make improvements to it, and then submit your workbook for certification. I look forward to being able to review all the improvements that you've made. Lean6sigmadefinition.com has a list of glossary items about popular process improvement terms, along with a history of Lean and Six Sigma methods, and key influencers like Dr. Edward Stemming, Henry Ford, Taiichi Ohno, Shigeo Shingo, and many more. You can also learn how to access affordable Lean and Six Sigma training and certification. Visit Lean6sigmadefinition.com.